Well, folks, I'm not yet tired of the winning. President Trump is sprinting out of the gate. America's golden age is just getting started. Be here with us for every moment. There's never been a better time to join Daily Wire. Plus, use code 47 right now for 47% off your new annual membership. Well, President Trump's approval rating currently stands at 47%. That is the highest approval rating that President Trump has ever had, including during his first term. Many of his policies are wildly popular, like, for example, saying that there are only two sexes. Turns out that's like an 80-20 proposition in the United States of America. Further, 58% of respondents to a Reuters Ipsos poll agreed with the statement the United States should, quote, dramatically reduce the number of migrants allowed to claim asylum at the border. And these are big numbers for President Trump. The less popular items on his agenda include some of the pardons that he's issuing, but he's burying that in all of the popular policies. And by the way, the stock market is a new all-time high. The S&P 500 is at a record high 3 days since President Trump took office. Here is CNBC reporting yesterday.
And it's all about 6,100 on the S&P 500. We have a new high.
It is. And look, it's been a really good week in terms of yields coming down, in terms of earnings. And then you get this announcement surrounding Stargate and the effect that you're seeing here, not just on the AI names that we already know, but it's expanding beyond that. It's expanding into networking. It's expanding into connectors. One of the names that I own is TE Connectivity, ticker symbol TEL. That's up nicely today on the back of this. So this is positive. This is about spending and supporting the infrastructure of artificial intelligence.
Look at these moves. I mean,
it goes beyond
these moves. Sorry to interrupt you here. I mean, are these moves astounding to you? Oracle, best 2-day move in 3 years. Let's cycle through these again. I mean, I saw Arista was up a lot today. There's Palantir up 4.5%. Dell Technologies up 5%. A lot of stocks that we've been talking about more lately, because you own a lot of them, are just ripping today.
Well, why? Because innovation is back. Because entrepreneurship is back. Because the founder mentality is back. And the left does not know what to do. The fact that there are two controversies over the past 48 hours have been a fake controversy surrounding Elon Musk not doing a Nazi salute and a bizarre left-wing bishop at the Episcopal Church, who apparently, allegedly, lived at one point with both her boyfriend and his girlfriend at one point. This person decided to lecture the President of the United States at the National Prayer Service about transgender children and why he should stop deporting illegal immigrants. President Trump did respond, quote, the so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into a world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. She failed to mention the large number of illegal migrants that came into our country and killed people. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. It is a giant crime wave that is taking place in the United States. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was a very boring and uninspiring one. She is not very good at her job. Fact check, true. She and her church owe the public an apology. I'm sorry, that's solid stuff there from the President of the United States. He was asked a couple of days ago about this, leaving the National Prayer Service. Somebody shouted a question at him, and here's President Trump's response.
Mr. President, what did you think of the sermon? What did you think of the sermon? What did you think of the
What did you think of the sermon?
What did you think? Did you like it? Did you find it exciting? Not too exciting, was it? I didn't think it was a good service, no. Thank you very much.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
They can do much better.
And by the way, whomever decided inside the administration to subject Donald Trump to that is like, that person should definitely be on the outs. I will say that the footage, as I said at the time, of JD Vance doing Jim from The Office, like one of the best vibes of this administration is JD's Jim from The Office vibe. And it's constant. The constant reaction shots that you saw during his debates with Tim Walz, the reaction shots that you get when he's being lectured about transgender children, where he looks like he just can't even believe what's happening. It is a pretty wonderful thing. Well, now the left has decided to turn Bishop Marianne Buddy, who apparently is this no-name bishop who decided to lecture the president and vice president, into a resistance hero. It's time for a new resistance hero. How exciting. Well, Bishop Buddy was on with Erin Burnett and decided to talk about her religious precepts, which include apparently transing the children.
I agree with you. It was a very muted response. I wasn't expecting I keep my expectations low whenever I preach, Aaron. I can't always measure impact by body language or even what people say afterwards. And so I have to let all of that go. I speak from what I believe I've been given to say and let it go from there. But it was a respectful response. He didn't like it. He said so. He said we could do better. Some of the other comments I've received haven't been as kind or has been as muted, shall we say. And one of the things I was trying to get across is that we can actually have these conversations in a respectful way.
Yeah, well, she did not have the conversation in a respectful way. She hijacked a national prayer service to throw a bunch of politics in there. She then appeared on The View because, again, time for new resistance. If this is the best you guys can bring, if Marianne Edgar Buddy is your resistance hero, guys, you're going to have to do better than this.
I mean, how could it not be politicized, right? We're in a hyper-political climate. One of the things I caution about is the culture of contempt in which we live that immediately rushes to the worst possible interpretations of what people are saying and to put them in categories such as the ones you've just described. That's part of the air we breathe now. And I was trying to speak a truth that I felt needed to be said, but to do it in as respectful and kind a way as I could.
It was neither respectful nor kind, of course. The media, of course, are already arraying against President Trump. It's not helping their ratings, by the way. I think one of the sort of going theories about media is that left-wing media thrive when there is a right-winger in office. That might have been true during Trump 1. I do not think that's going to be true during Trump 2 because it's just boring. You know exactly what they're going to say before they say it. It's tiring and it's annoying and it's boring. Listening to CNN hosts gush over a decline in inauguration ratings. I'm sorry, this is not going to bring CNN's ratings back. They are firing, by the way, hundreds of people this week because they just have no ratings at all. They have no ratings, no revenue, nothing.
On the subject of backwards looking at past grievances, some of the television ratings for the inauguration have come out. Fewer people watched than watched when President Biden was inaugurated 4 years ago. Fewer people watched than when Donald Trump was inaugurated the first time 8 years ago. Now, part of this might be, shifting television audiences, but it's a significant drop off there. How do you think President Trump feels about that? You've been in the White House for some of these discussions about viewers and ratings and numbers.
I have a feeling he's going to push back and say the streaming numbers were there and it was the most watched inauguration in history. But listen, we live in a deeply polarized country. Half the country is thrilled that Donald Trump is back in the White House and the other is exhausted and didn't want to tune in. And that's what the next 4 years is going to underscore.
Okay, but let me just point out the streaming numbers actually were through the roof. I mean, we know our streaming numbers at Daily Wire, and they were extraordinary. It was easily the highest rated thing that we've ever done. So there's that. Okay, but here's the reality. While they are busy covering the distractions of the Trump administration, things are actually getting done. So yesterday, the White House issued an order that all federal employees in DEI roles be placed on paid leave by 5 p.m. on Wednesday. They are shutting down, according to the Office of Personnel Management, every single DEI office across the entirety of the federal government. According to this new memorandum, they're taking steps to close agency DEIA offices. Each should take prompt actions regarding the offices and agency subunits focused exclusively on DEI. Specifically, agency heads should, no later than 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025, send an agency-wide notice to employees informing them of the closure and asking employees if they know of any efforts to disguise these programs by using coded or imprecise language. A template agency-wide notice is attached as Appendix 1. So, in other words, also let us know if you guys are going to try and hide your DEI employees under another rubric. Trump 2.0 is smarter than Trump 1.0. They know the tricks that are going to be played, and they are pursuing those tricks all the way down the rabbit hole. They're going to stop it. They already drafted a template email saying that pay and benefits were going to be paid during paid leave, that these jobs basically were going to be sunsetted. This is a massive change. The White House put a statement out at the time suggesting, quote, the Biden administration forced illegal and immoral discrimination programs going by the name diversity, equity, and inclusion into virtually all aspects of the federal government in areas ranging from airline safety to the military. This is a concerted effort stemming from President Biden's first day in office when he issued Executive Order 13958, advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. Pursuant to Executive Order 13958 and follow-on orders, nearly every federal agency and entity submitted equity action plans. The public release of these plans demonstrated immense public waste and shameful discrimination. That ends today. Americans deserve a government committed to serving every person with equal dignity and respect and to expanding precious taxpayer resources only on making America great. This is excellent. This is huge. DEI is being killed by the Trump administration. I'll get to more on that in just 1 second. First, in an uncertain economic landscape, smart investors are paying attention to the signs. With increased tariffs reshaping our trade relationships and sweeping changes to taxes and regulations, one investment vehicle stands the test of time: gold. That's why I'm excited to tell you about a groundbreaking resource from my trusted partner, Birch Gold Group. They've just released the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era, featuring an exclusive forward by Donald Trump Jr. The numbers do not lie. Our national debt keeps climbing, and with it, the interest payments that burden our economy. In these challenging times, gold is still your hedge against a weakened dollar, and Birch Gold is still the company I trust to help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Text BEN to 989898 for your free copy of the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. There's no obligation, only information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews, thousands of happy customers, you too can trust Birch Gold. Text my name, Ben, to the number 989898 today. And I've been working with Birch Gold for years. Ask them all your questions. I'm not saying take all your life savings and stick it in precious metals, but smart investors diversify. Birch Gold can help you do that. Text my name, Ben, to the number 989898 to get started. Also, the new year means setting new goals, not just for your body, but for your financial well-being as well. Here's something important to consider. Your financial health is directly connected to protecting your identity. That's where LifeLock comes in, providing the protection you need in today's digital world. Your personal information exists in countless places beyond your control. Unfortunately, it only takes one security breach, whether it's your mistake or somebody else's, to make you vulnerable to identity theft and financial loss. LifeLock works around the clock, monitoring hundreds of millions of data points every second to alert you to threats you might miss, giving you peace of mind while you focus on what matters most. If identity theft occurs, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialists will work tirelessly to resolve the issue, backed by the comprehensive $1 million protection package. They're so confident in their service, they guarantee complete restoration or your money back. This level of protection is essential in today's world where identity theft continues to rise. Do not risk facing drained accounts or fraudulent loans that could damage your financial future. Make identity protection part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Visit LifeLock.com/Ben. Save up to 40% your very first year. That's 40% off at LifeLock.com/Ben. Terms apply. The brand new FCC chair, Brendan Carr, who is an excellent pick by the President of the United States. He, of course, is on the FCC. He's been elevated to the FCC chair. And I know the chair. He's a truly moral person who believes the right things. Here he was pointing out that his agency had been spending millions of dollars on DEI.
For the patriotic Americans, they feel like this sense of decline, the sense of malaise that's taken over the country over the last 4 years is ending. And the way President Trump is doing it is going right to the source of that decline, and he's getting rid of it root and branch, and DEI is part of it. To your point, people would be shocked if they learned how much DEI had been embedded in agencies. At the FCC alone, we were spending millions and millions of dollars promoting it. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, that's ending, and we're getting things turned around, focusing on our core mission of actually just connecting Americans.
Yeah, there is a sort of international conservatism that is rising. And that international conservatism, again, it's being imitated everywhere. It includes Brendan Carr citing my favorite modern politician, Javier Milei from Argentina, when he says, if you're not on board with killing DEI, afuera, get out of here.
Look, anybody that is not on board with the agenda that we're going to be running, I have just one thing to say to them, which is afuera. We got to move on. This is President Trump's administration. The administration is going to follow his lead. And for my part at the FCC, we want to make sure that we get to the core mission. So that's, reining in big tech. It's going to be taking a look at media and making sure they live up to their public interest obligation. It's getting our economy going through new actions on space so we can get going there. And it's promoting national security. That's the agenda that I'm going to be running at the FCC. And thankfully, we have a lot of actually really talented, dedicated career staff there. And I'm confident that we're going to execute on that agenda.
By the way, this includes doing the most obvious things. Like, for example, stop it with the DEI when it comes to the Federal Aviation Administration. When you have a pilot, you do not care whether the pilot is white, black, green, brown, male, female. What you care about is whether the plane gets where it's supposed to go in the safest possible way. The notion that you are hiring pilots based on their intersectional credentials is one of the dumbest things anyone has ever pursued. And the White House has now put out an executive order on this. Quote, illegal and discriminatory DEI hiring, including on the basis of race, sex, disability, or any other criteria other than the safety of airline passengers and overall job excellence, competency, and qualification, harms all Americans who deserve to fly with confidence. It also penalizes hardworking Americans who want to serve in the FAA, but are unable to do so as they lack a requisite disability or skin color. FAA employees must hold the qualifications and have the ability to perform their jobs to the highest possible standard of excellence. This is obviously really, really good. The biggest action that was taken by President Trump yesterday was his move to destroy Executive Order 11246. Executive Order 11246 was an executive order that was originally signed by Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965, and it required affirmative action. In fact, it prohibited federal contractors and federally assisted construction contractors and subcontractors who do over $10,000 in government business in 1 year from discriminating in employment decisions on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, which sounds fine, right? No discrimination if you are going to contract with the federal government. There's only one problem. It required contractors to discriminate, to, quote, take affirmative action to ensure that applicants are employed and that employees are treated during employment without regard to their race, creed, color, or national origin. That affirmative action means racial discrimination. It means not anti-discrimination, but yes, discrimination. Trump has now rescinded that executive order. Okay, that EO, that LBJ EO, was notorious. It was notorious for having crammed affirmative action throughout the federal government. President Trump killed it dead. The stuff that Trump is doing in the first 3 days alone is astonishing, truly astonishing. Meanwhile, when it comes to immigration, President Trump is moving. This was his key promise since 2015, and he is not letting up. According to the Associated Press, the Pentagon said on Wednesday it has begun deploying 1,500 active duty troops to help secure the southern border, putting in motion plans that President Trump laid out in executive orders shortly after he took office to crack down on immigration. Acting Defense Secretary Robert Solisas said the troops will fly helicopters to assist Border Patrol agents and help in the construction of barriers. The Pentagon is also going to provide military aircraft for DHS deportation flights for more than 5,000 detained migrants. No more of this, we hold people and then we just release them into the interior. That is done. Solisas said in a statement, quote, this is just the beginning. In short order, he said, the department will develop and execute additional missions in cooperation with DHS, federal agencies, and state partners to address the full range of threats outlined by the president at our nation's border. By the way, the department is preparing right now to send 2,000 more Marines to the border to help enforce the border. And President Trump, his team, they take this very, very seriously. Not only that, the DOJ has been instructed that if local officials actually obstruct the working of immigration law, they should be prosecuted. In the memo, Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove, Trump's former defense attorney, outlines, quote, interim decisions and policy changes pending the confirmation of Trump's U.S. Attorney General nominee, Pam Bondi. He said that changes are necessary as an initial response regarding three of the most serious threats facing the American people. Those threats are cartels and other transnational criminal organizations, like, for example, Tren de Aragua and MS-13. The memo added that the second threat is how brutal and intolerable violent crime by members of those organizations and illegal aliens is escalating rapidly. And the third threat is how fentanyl crisis and opioid epidemic are poisoning our communities. He said the Justice Department must work to eradicate those threats. And that means that they are not going to simply allow local authorities to obstruct what it is that they are doing. Bove reiterated in this memo to the DOJ, quote, federal law prohibits state and local actors from resisting, obstructing, and otherwise failing to comply with lawful immigration-related commands. So if you are a local politician who is seeking to impede the workings of ICE or Border Patrol, prepare to find yourself in the dock. That is what the DOJ is saying, and they are correct to do so, because if the plenary power of the federal government includes immigration, that means you can't obstruct it. That's not the way that it works. Perhaps the most hilarious headline of the day comes courtesy of the New York Times, and it is on this specific issue. The New York Times has an article today all about the drug cartels. And what the New York Times is saying is that it is bad for the Trump administration to label them terrorists. Here's the headline from the New York Times. Ready? Quote, how labeling cartels terrorists could hurt the U.S. economy. Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? How it will hurt the U.S. economy? I'm sorry. They're killing people on both sides of the border en masse. They basically control the Mexican government. They've been shipping tons of fentanyl over the border, which is killing hundreds of thousands of Americans, and it might hurt the economy to call them terrorists? The New York Times suggests that it could be bad because it could force some American companies to forego doing business in Mexico rather than risk American sanctions. Why? Well, because Mexico is basically terror run. So their claim is that if the drug cartels are working with the Mexican government, that people can't work with the Mexican government anymore or the federal government's going to prosecute them. Well, maybe the solution for that for the Mexican government would be to disentangle themselves from the drug cartels. Perhaps that would be the solution. According to the New York Times, these criminal organizations are now embedded in a wide swath of the legal economy, from avocado farming to the country's billion-dollar tourism industry, making it hard to be absolutely sure American companies are isolated from cartel activities. Now, again, I highly doubt the Trump administration is looking to shut down hotels in Mexico because they're part owned by cartel members. However, it seems to me the more pressing issue is that the entire border on the Mexican side and on parts of the American side is controlled by Mexican drug cartels. Now, meanwhile, by the way, Secretary of State Rubio, who was unanimously confirmed by the Senate on Monday night and sworn in on Tuesday morning, he is pausing refugee operations and he is ramping up visa vetting, according to Fox News. Immediately after becoming the next secretary, Rubio directed the Department of State to halt refugee resettlement programs. Instead, he ordered the department to implement enhanced vetting for visa applications from dangerous regions, which, by the way, seems like it would be a really good idea because it turns out that a refugee from Morocco, or at least a person from Morocco who's on an American visa, went on a stabbing attack in Tel Aviv the other day. The person got into Israel by first going to the United States, having a visa, and then traveling to Israel to stab 4 people, including one with a serious condition with a knife wound to the neck. The attacker was shot dead at that point. Again, this person basically got in because this person was in America first. So yes, we should be vetting everybody who's claiming refugee status getting into the United States at this point. There are just too many people with quote unquote refugee status, and we have no idea who they are, and they may have terrorist affiliations. It turns out that enforcing immigration law is actually just commonsensical. Well, you know what else is common sense? Don't send your kid or go yourself to a university that indoctrinates you in woke nonsense. That is not Grand Canyon University, a private Christian university in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. They believe we're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. GCU believes in equal opportunity and that the American dream starts with purpose. GCU equips you to serve others in ways that promote human flourishing and create a ripple effect of transformation for generations to come. By honoring your career, calling you impact your family, your friends, and your community. Change the world for good by putting others before yourself to glorify God. Whether your pursuit involves a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree, GCU's online, on-campus, and hybrid learning environments are designed to help you achieve your unique academic, personal, and professional goals. With over 330 academic programs as of September 2024, GCU meets you where you are and provides a path to help you fulfill your dream. The pursuit to serve others is yours. Let it flourish. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Private, Christian, affordable. Visit gcu.edu. Again, that's gcu.edu. I visited Grand Canyon University. It is absolutely beautiful, wonderful people there. Go check it out yourself. gcu.edu. Also, when it comes to grocery shopping, everybody's got a huge problem. You get slammed with work. You're not able to find time to hit the grocery store. That can all change thanks to Hungry Root. It's become the easiest way to eat healthy and stay on top of meals, even with a busy work week. Hungry Root is like having your own personal shopper who really gets you. They can handle all your weekly grocery shopping, recommending healthy foods that align with your tastes, nutrition goals, and the like. They make it simple to eat high-quality, nutritious food, whether you're looking for anti-inflammatory options, gut-friendly meals, or just trying to get more nutrients in your diet. The best part? They learn your preferences over time. It's amazing how well they're able to figure out exactly what you like. And everything they offer is free from high fructose corn syrup and artificial preservatives. And it's really easy to use. They have tons of different options. You can order precisely what you need. And Hungry Root also learns what it is that you want. You're going to love Hungry Root the way that I do as well. Take advantage of this exclusive offer for a limited time. Get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/Ben and use code Ben. That's hungryroot.com/Ben, code Ben, to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/Ben, code Ben. Meanwhile, Tom Homan, the border czar and bulldog, he said that in the first 48 hours, there are about 700 plus total apprehensions.
Look, the greatest president in my lifetime, he's back. Because in 2 days, the last 24 hours, total apprehensions on the southwest border, 766. Compare that to the 10 to 12,000 Biden had at one time. CBP 1 releases, 0. CHNV, Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela releases, 0. Total of 766 across the entire southwest border. That is a game changer.
Well, I mean, he ain't wrong. He also pointed out, hey guys, a secure border saves lives. This is all such common sense. You know, Trump ran on common sense. His inaugural speech focused on common sense. This is just common sense.
I want to save lives. Secure border saves lives. And when President Trump locks this border down, less women and children be sex trafficked in this country. Less aliens will die making that journey. Under President Biden, we've had a record number of people die crossing that border. 600% increase in sex trafficking. And look at the 250,000 young Americans dead from fentanyl. When we secure the border, the fentanyl deaths has decreased. Sex trafficking has decreased. Deaths on the border decreased. So it's just about saving lives. Secure borders save lives. And plus, look, you can't have strong national security if you don't have border security.
That's right.
We need to know who's coming in, what's coming in, where's coming in, why it's coming in. So, again, President Trump, game changer, already made a significant difference on that border. This country is already safer because of President Trump.
He ain't wrong about that either. He, by the way, did shock CNN's Dana Bash because she asked him whether people who are non-criminals might be deported. And he's like, well, I mean, they crossed the border illegally. So the answer is yes.
What is happening as we speak is limited to those with criminal records?
That's the target of this operation. But like I said many times, in places like sanctuary cities where we can't arrest a bad person in the jail, we would like to have access to the jail to arrest a criminal alien in the safety and security of a county jail, which is safer for the community, safer for the officers, and safer for the alien. But when you release a public safety threat out of a sanctuary jail and won't give us access to him, that means we got to go to the neighborhood and find him. And we will find him. But when we find him, he may be with others. Others that don't have a criminal conviction but are in the country illegally, they will be arrested too. Because we're not going to strike, and this is a difference between the last administration and this administration. ICE is going to enforce the immigration law. There's nothing in the INA, the Immigration Nationality Act, says you got to be convicted of a serious crime in order to be removed from this country. So there's going to be more collateral arrests in sanctuary cities because they forced us to go in the community and find the guy we're looking for.
Let me just make sure that I understand what you're saying, because at first you said that the first targets are those with criminal records, but you are also saying that those who are undocumented in the U.S., also who don't have criminal records, people who are working in their communities, maybe even have spouses who are American citizens, they could be swept up with ICE today as well?
What I'm telling you is when we go find our priority target, which is a criminal alien, if he's with others in the United States illegally, we're going to take enforcement action against him. We're going to enforce the immigration law.
Again, this is such common sense. And the fact that she is shocked by this is really the shocking thing. Well, meanwhile, President Trump isn't just moving on immigration. He is also moving on infrastructure. So a couple days ago, President Trump announced that there'd be a massive investment in AI databases. This is the infrastructure that is necessary in order to power AI. So AI relies on crunching extraordinary amounts of data. When ChatGPT takes in what you are asking it and then it pumps out an answer, it is analyzing pretty much everything it can get its hands on. You're talking about essentially the entire publicly available internet. And then it is predicting the most likely response that you're looking for based on your question. It's doing so via keywords, essentially. That's a very, very short and dirty version of how AI works. Okay, what that means is that the amount of data that goes into one of those answers is huge. The amount of energy that it takes to crunch that data is huge. AI databases require a few things. They require, one, a country or a place that has an energy surplus because they're very, very energy intensive. Two, they require actual AI know-how. You can't just build it in a place where people don't know about it. Not a random person can build an AI database, or any database for that matter. And three, they do require climate that is somewhat friendly because they expend extraordinary amounts of heat. Okay, well, the United States has been generally a little bit underpowered in this area. China is leading the way when it comes to the development of a lot of these AI capabilities. The United States must lead the way because these capabilities are going to be scarily effective. Not only doing things like curing diseases, but also doing everything from booking your vacations for you to helping you do the most basic tasks in your life. The power of AI is, I think, if anything, underrated at this point. It is a sea change. It is the equivalent of how the internet changed the world, but more so. I mean, honestly, like the best thing that you can probably say about AI in terms of an analogy is the Industrial Revolution, just in the terms of the massive society-wide changes that are about to occur that most people aren't thinking about. And that requires, again, enormous expenditure of resources to keep that sort of stuff at home. Well, here's President Trump announcing a $500 billion investment in precisely this sort of infrastructure.
Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down in your books, because I think you're going to hear a lot about it in the future. A new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United States and very, very quickly, moving very rapidly, creating over 100,000 American jobs almost immediately.
Again, that's a big announcement. Again, because AI is going to do it now. It doesn't mean AI isn't scary. Doesn't mean that there aren't going to be some severe dislocations because of changes in the market. This always happens when a new technology comes about, particularly one that effectively makes everyone very smart. That's what AI does. If the Industrial Revolution made it so that everyone, weak and strong, had the capacity to do extraordinary amounts of work because of machines, well, the AI revolution makes everybody a lot smarter, a lot smarter. Like, you don't have to be a genius anymore in order to process a lot of data and get it out. You just type it into ChatGPT. Okay, so here is OpenAI CEO Sam Altman talking about how AI can impact medicine at this event.
How will AI help us with the fight against the various problems, diseases, etc.?
These guys can maybe share more about some of the work they're doing there. I think they'll jointly be some of the leaders about driving progress here. But I believe that as this technology progresses, we will see diseases get cured at an unprecedented rate. We will be amazed at how quickly we're curing this cancer and that one and heart disease, and what this will do for the ability to deliver very high quality healthcare, the costs, but really to cure the diseases at a rapid rate, I think will be among the most important things this technology does.
Yeah, well, Elon Musk somehow kind of got crossways of the president on this announcement. He put out a tweet. OpenAI said, announcing the Stargate project. The Stargate project is a new company which intends to invest $500 billion over the next 4 years building new AI infrastructure for OpenAI in the United States. We will begin deploying $100 billion immediately. So Elon Musk responded, they don't actually have the money. Okay? And the reason that he is saying that, he suggests that they have about $10 billion available to them, but that's not $500 billion available to them. So SoftBank has well under $10 billion secured. I have that on good authority. Okay, now, what is the real reason that Elon is doing that? Well, Elon has a beef with Sam Altman. Elon was one of the original investors in OpenAI when OpenAI was basically a 501c3, put like $100 million into it, and then it turned into a for-profit company. And so Elon is still kind of ticked about all of that. However, while an administration can handle an awful lot of back and forth, administration, particularly President Trump, tends to operate on a sort of chaos theory inside his own administration. The best answers come out of conflict of voices inside his administration. Obviously, undermining big initiatives of the administration is not something that's going to be looked on well. Elon Musk is always going to be a freewheeling guy. I am not sure that he's best served by tweets like that one after the president makes a gigantic, powerful announcement. And that is, in fact, a very powerful announcement. It's going to be responsible, apparently, for the creation of perhaps 100,000 jobs. And it is not a public sector thing. It is a private sector thing. What Donald Trump is doing right now is a very good thing. He is saying, look, you have predictable rules that encourage entrepreneurship and innovation. In that environment, people are going to invest lots of money, and they should. And he's right, and that's good. Well, meanwhile, President Trump is apparently considering a 10% tariff on all Chinese goods beginning as soon as February 1st. He said, we're talking about a tariff of 10% on China based on the fact they're sending fentanyl to Mexico and Canada. He said probably February 1st is the date that we're looking at. Apparently, he spoke with Chinese President Xi Jinping over the phone about fentanyl and trade. The Chinese side's readout said Xi called for cooperation and said that the countries' economic ties were mutually beneficial. China's Vice Premier Deng Zhujiang told the World Economic Forum in Davos on Tuesday there are, quote, no winners in a trade war. He called for international efforts to support economic globalization and to distribute it better. Now, again, I think that a lot of this is President Trump ratcheting up to ratchet down. I think President Trump really likes using the threat of economic sanctions, tariffs, in order to get what he wants. Perhaps one of the things that he wants is the sale of TikTok, for example, from China to a non-Chinese interest. Whatever it is, President Trump is not shy about the use of tariffs, and China is indeed a geopolitical opponent. It is kind of amazing to me how Justin Trudeau of Canada, who again is being threatened with a 25% tariff. He says, well, if you do that, then Trump is going to need Russia, China, Venezuela. If you enforce a 25% tariff on Canada, why don't you just ask Trump what he actually wants? Like, really, why don't you just ask him, Justin? You could do that.
President Trump said that he wants to usher in a golden age for the United States. That will require more steel and aluminum, more critical minerals, more reliable and affordable energy, more of everything to run the U.S. economy full steam ahead. Canada has all those resources. The alternative for them would be more resources from Russia, China, or Venezuela. Canada is a safe, secure, and reliable partner in an uncertain world.
Now, again, I don't disagree that it's better for the United States to trade with Canada than Russia or China. I just want to know why he doesn't ask Trump what he wants and then try to cut a deal, because Trump obviously is willing to use leverage. That, by the way, is also true with regard to Russia. We'll get to that in a moment. First, the Daily Wire gave you front row seats to history during Inauguration Weekend. We covered everything from the pageantry to the political highlights. We were on the ground right there to bring you the dawn of America's golden age. The Daily Wire is where politics and culture collide, with live, uncensored, ad-free daily shows from the most trusted voices in America. To our growing catalog of premium entertainment that's reshaping culture, we are leading the charge. What we do matters, but we can't do it without you. Join Daily Wire Plus today. Save 47% with code 47, celebrating America's 47th president, Donald J. Trump. There's never been a better time to join. Go to dailywire.com/subscribe. Save 47% today with code 47. Okay, meanwhile, when it comes to leverage, President Trump isn't just leveraging Canada. He is, in fact, leveraging the Russians. So President Trump has now threatened sanctions and tariffs on Russia if Vladimir Putin does not reach an agreement to end the war in Ukraine. I said this is what he was going to do. Remember, I told you he wasn't just going to cut off aid to Ukraine and hand the country over to the Russians the way that Democrats and the media kept saying. He put out a statement on Truth Social that if the government, quote, cannot make a deal and soon, I have no other choice but to put high levels of taxes, tariffs, and sanctions on anything being sold by Russia to the United States and various other participating countries. This is, again, he wants the end of the war. He said, I love the Russian people. I always had a very good relationship with President Putin, but this is a pressure tactic. It is clear that President Trump is not simply going to unilaterally let his foot off the gas when it comes to sanctions on Vladimir Putin. And it is also clear that Trump has no interest in allowing Russia to simply walk through Ukraine. Quote, I'm going to do Russia, whose economy is failing, and President Putin a very big favor. Settle now and stop this ridiculous war. It's only going to get worse. Correct. This is the proper response from President Trump. That is absolutely right. Meanwhile, speaking of peace through strength, Pete Hegseth has been moved out of committee. Apparently, there are 3 Republican senators who plan not to vote for him, meaning J.D. Vance will break the tie and he'll be confirmed. It's not a huge shock. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, the most moderate, left-leaning members of the Republican caucus, they were always going to be no's probably on Pete Hegseth. Mitch McConnell is apparently also a no on Pete Hegseth, which I don't understand. He's totally wrong. Maybe he's on his way out, and this is kind of a twist in the nose of President Trump. In any case, Susan Collins told reporters on Wednesday she found troubling information had been omitted from Pete Hegseth's FBI background check. And this seems like such a cheap shot. It seems like a massive cheap shot. Now, listen, I understand not all Republicans are going to vote the same way on everything. Susan Collins is in Maine. Maine is, at best, a purple state. It really is a blue state with a couple purple leanings. Okay, with that said, the reports that are being discussed right now about Hegseth focus in on his supposed treatment of his ex-wife. Senators received an affidavit containing new allegations against Hegseth, according to NBC News. The receipt of the affidavit came after Senate Armed Services Committee staffers were in contact with Hegseth's former sister-in-law for several days. That former sister-in-law submitted the affidavit, and apparently she was asked to detail what she knew of instances of abuse or threats of abuse perpetrated against any other person and, quote, mistreatment of a spouse, former spouse, or other members of his family, among other requests. Jack Reed, the senator from Rhode Island, he said, quote, as I've said for months, the reports of Hegseth's history of alleged sexual assault, alcohol abuse, and public misconduct necessitate an exhaustive background investigation. Danielle apparently describes in the affidavit allegations of volatile and threatening conduct by Hegseth that made his second wife, Samantha Hegseth, fear for her safety. Among her allegations are that Samantha hid in a closet once from Hegseth and that she developed escape plans for use if she felt she needed to get away from Hegseth that would be activated with a code word, and that she did once put the escape plans into action. There is only one problem. Samantha Hegseth denied it. The ex-wife denied it, and the entire media ran with it, and so did Democrats. Quote, first and foremost, I have not and will not comment on my marriage to Pete Hegseth. I do not have representatives speaking on my behalf, nor have I ever asked anyone to share or speak about the details of my marriage on my behalf, whether it be a reporter, a committee member, a transition team member, etc. I do not believe your information to be accurate. I have CC'd my lawyer. Quote, there was no physical abuse in my marriage. This is the only further statement I will make to you. I have let you know that I am not speaking and will not speak on my marriage to Pete. Please respect this decision. Okay, so if this is the basis for Susan Collins opposing, that is ridiculous and insane. Okay, in any case, these sorts of spurious allegations, unsupportable by the actual available evidence, have become stock in trade for Democrats from Clarence Thomas to Brett Kavanaugh, and it is not going to kill nominations any longer, not on the right side of the aisle. Coming up, we'll get into actual supported allegations of physical abuse of women. I'm speaking, of course, about the former second gentleman, Doug Emhoff. If you're not a member, become a member. Use code Shapiro at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Click that link in the description and join us.